Does anyone know how I can cancel my membership to the whole feminist movement? Because it's not giving what it was supposed to give, so I'm no longer interested. Even the word feminist, what is feminine about me working hard and paying bills? Back then I'm singing independent. I don't know what possessed me to be singing such nonsense. It was the work of the devil, to be wanting equal this and equal that. How the man to be doing demanding things and the woman to be doing damsel in distress. Oh, I don't know what I would do without you. Because me, I need the man. For every little thing I want to be calling my man. Because who'll be reaching the top shelf for me? Who'll be killing spiders? Fine babe like me should be coming and killing spiders. Do I look like Xena the warrior princess? Listen, I don't know who brainwashed us. I don't know who started the movement, if it was Susan B. Anthony and the suffrage rights. But I'm suffering more today than I was yesterday. So please, whoever's in charge, unsubscribe me from the list. Cancel the membership now!
Yesterday, I was tagged in a post where a woman was talking about how she was denouncing feminism, how she wants to opt out of feminism. And it stems from the fact that she hasn't been able to find a man and she no longer wants to be an independent woman. And so I made this post on my YouTube page. I said, I literally had to take women's studies classes to get a lot of the history and learn the why of feminism. Women didn't just wake up one day and let's be feminists. They didn't do that. It wasn't because of man hating. It wasn't because we wanted to be men. It's because we were treated unfairly in this country. We were second-class citizens and property of men. And since men, typically white men, are the ones writing the curriculum in our schools, history is very incomplete in our country. So people don't really know the genesis of why women were fighting to get equality in certain areas. So today I was like, I'm going to talk about coverture laws. I have talked about coverture laws before, but my pages weren't as popping. So we're going to talk about it today. This is one of the comments that I got on my YouTube post. She says, when my daughter was in junior high, I looked at her history book. 99% was about white men. I actually called the publisher. I was told women and minorities were grouped together in the back of the book in the last chapter. I think he meant the back of the bus. I took it upon myself to teach her about women in history, and I learned a lot myself. So keep in mind, who is writing history? Who is writing history? Who throughout history has been in charge of marketing? This is all marketing. And what the things that women have gone through in this country, people don't want to see it because then it would shine a light on how women were impacted here. And then on top of that, don't be a woman who happens to not be white. You had a double whammy coming towards you because you had to face sexism and racism in this country. So we don't talk about unadulterated history. We get the sanitized history. And so that is the reason why talking about coverture laws, it helps to explain a lot of what has happened in this country and why feminists were going hard the way that they were going hard. This person says, I really believe that the reason we have to go to college to learn these things is because they want to keep working class women ignorant of women's rights. Even upper class feminists want someone to sweep her floors and clean her toilets. And honestly, this is the reason why many minorities don't know the actual history of things. This is another reason why poorer white folks don't know a lot of things, because they keep this history like locked away. I mean, it's not like it's locked away, but you have to go into the, college. You have to have time to go to the library and seek out books. However, you have to know which books to even search for. So that is the reason why we have to keep highlighting these things and why I will continue to highlight these things. And the last comment that I want to talk about before I start talking about coverture laws, this woman says, I chose to take a women's literature class in college, a women's literature. Yet I still didn't learn that women couldn't get a bank account in the 1970s until I went to a women's empowerment event. Feminism must be taught far and wide so that the younger generations are aware of the freedoms we enjoy now. And more importantly, so women are equipped with tools to protect against the risk to lose freedom in the future, because that is what they're doing. We're allowing the right wing, anti-feminist, conservative folks to hammer against feminism And that is literally trying to take away the rights and freedoms that we just got. Women just got the right to have a bank account in the 70s. Think about if someone just took away access to your money right now. Okay, so if you guys remember, America was formed as an English colony. So coverture laws came over from English laws. By marriage, the husband and wife are one person in the law. That is, the very being or legal existence of the woman is suspended during marriage, or at least is incorporated and consolidated into that of the husband, under whose wing, protection, and cover she performs everything. So two become one, but basically she just gets wrapped up in her husband. She is no longer. They are now enmeshed with the man controlling everything. Coverture was based on the assumption that a family functioned best if the male head of the household controlled all of its assets. As a result of a married woman could not own her own property independently of her husband unless they had signed a special contract called a marriage settlement. Such contracts were rare and even illegal in some parts of the country. So in coverture, women couldn't own property, women couldn't own money. Women also really didn't own their own bodies. Women were the property of the man. So there was no such thing as marital grape because you can't grape your own property. You can do what you wanted to with your own property. They actually had to legislate marital grape laws because women were actually being raped by their husband. Do you want to go back to a time where you didn't actually own your own body, where somebody was in control of you? What does that sound like? What does that not sound like slavery where you're not in control of your own body? Also, DV had to be legislated against because how can you actually harm your own property? Your wife is yours to do what you want to with. So DV was a problem, but cops and judges wouldn't do anything about it because you were the property of your husband. And keep in mind also, police, judges, leaders, legislators, all of that were mostly men. So obviously they have a bro code that has gone back thousands of years to keep women in a certain place. And so they have been holding the line for this bro code for the longest. So we actually had to write into law that DV in marital grape was against the law. And listen to this. States did not start to repeal these coverture laws until the late 20th century, with the last few states finally abolishing them as recently as 1993. 1993. I was 12 or 13, depending on when they did that. But I was alive and kicking 1993. You can probably remember the kind of clothes you were wearing back in 1993. And keep in mind, this is also where many of the traditions, like taking your husband's name, fathers giving away the bride to the groom, taking the term taking a bride, all of this meant you were this man's property. You did not have a legal identity. Your legal identity was your husband's identity. You were completely enmeshed. You lost yourself once you became a spouse. You did not have access to the property. You didn't have access to the money. You could lose your children because how is a person like you who doesn't have access to money or property going to raise children? They did this on purpose to keep us as second-class citizens. We couldn't work in certain professions. We were relegated to the female professions like secretary, the helper type of things, school nurse, teacher, that kind of thing. We couldn't do the things that were leadership things like being a principal or a judge or a lawyer. No, those were relegated to the male realm. So this is why the feminist movement was important. You got access to birth control with the feminist movement. You got access to financial freedoms. You got access to more opportunities and more professions with the feminist movement. It wasn't just about getting a man. Lord, it's not just about getting a man. And women wanted to be independent because these men could do with you what they wanted to do with the blessing of the law. Even if you have a man, I have a man. Even if you have a man, it doesn't matter because you are not in charge of anything for yourself. So what if you get a dud? What if you get one that is abusive? What will you do? Even if you didn't have to go to work. But remember also, working inside the home is still work. You guys go ahead and weigh in. I gave you a lot of information. There are a lot of things to know with feminism, and I gave you a bite-sized portion of what women have fought for and won for us. And I appreciate all of it. Like, comment, share.